Congressman, welcome back to the program here. In less than 3 weeks, a lot has happened. I'm curious what President Trump has done so far that concerns you the most.
There are a lot of dangerous and expensive things that President Trump policies that he's pursuing. Let's start with the fact that there are tariffs on hold with Mexico and Canada, but new tariffs with China. These are our three biggest trading partners, and we live in a state in Texas that does the most trade of any state in the nation. So as these tariffs go through, if they go through, and even the China tariffs are going to harm the Texas economy. You're talking about the potential loss of thousands of jobs in Texas. And then the fact that he has tasked Elon Musk with going into federal agencies and basically dismantling them, taking them apart, and accessing people's social security information, their personal information, perhaps their medical information, all of these things, along with apparently a group of folks who are between 19 and 24 years old that have not been identified, but had access to vast amounts of personal information of Americans. So a lot of both dangerous and costly things.
Do those people, I haven't seen it anywhere that shows that those Doge employees have uh, security clearances. Do you know if they do?
We have not gotten any clarification about whether these folks have security clearances, uh, whether they're official government employees. Elon Musk, for all of his power in the Trump administration, just a few days ago, I think, was labeled as a special government employee. We don't know anything about the other people, so they're being kept a secret right now. This really is unprecedented in modern American history.
From where I sit, in Texas here, opposition to this seems kind of slow. I know you're one of the most outspoken ones here, though, but is the fast pace of change inhibiting Democrats from successfully targeting this and creating opposition to it?
No, we've been on top of it. Now, remember, these are mostly executive actions or executive orders,
Sure.
so they're not pieces of legislation. So none of this stuff you're going to see debated on the House floor or the Senate floor because they're bills. So it means that most of this stuff is going to be litigated in court. And we have successfully supported litigation now that has put injunctions basically on the federal funding freeze, for example, and a few other executive orders at this point. But a lot of the action you're going to see right now is in court. But Democrats are also fighting in the Congress to make sure that we can basically put a hold on all these very radical things that he's trying to do.
President Trump obviously letting Elon Musk kind of have free reign over the bureaucracy there that you were just mentioning. But I'm curious about the Trump administration's rationale for this. It says, listen, we're the chief of the executive branch. It's our branch of government. We can do what we want as far as hiring and firing goes. Is that not the case?
You don't know, and the reason is that by the Constitution and by law, the Congress has the power of the purse. So the Congress is the branch of government that gets to establish federal departments and then decide how much money those departments get. So what Elon Musk and Donald Trump have tried to do, and Republicans are trying to do, is go in there and block housing authorities, healthcare centers, senior centers, foreign assistance programs from getting money that Congress already appropriated to them. So they're trying to cut off in mid-supply money that is supposed to go to them. That's illegal. It's unconstitutional. And Donald Trump is ignoring the law at this point.
Congressman San Antonio, let me ask you, Congressman, let's talk about the government buyouts here for a moment, because San Antonio has a lot of federal agencies. Your constituents, many of them work for the federal government. Do you expect these buyouts to have any direct effect on the services supplied by these federal agencies?
Well, first, a judge has now put an injunction or a hold on these federal buyouts. So it's not clear that this is even legal by the president. So I expect that in the end, these buyouts may not go through. And also that Donald Trump, he's not a person that's known to necessarily honor his commitments. And so somebody could resign now and then, 3 months down the road, 4 months down the road, if the court doesn't finally clear these buyouts, that person has now quit their job and they can't get hired again by the agency that they left. So that's very problematic. But they did offer these buyouts, and it would have an impact. For example, in San Antonio, we have a huge VA hospital because we're known as Military City USA. We have a lot of veterans. That's already chronically understaffed. If you talk to veterans, that's always their main complaint about the VA, and this is going to make it worse.
I missed the injunction on that. Was that today, or is the deadline still not tonight for these
Yeah,
buyouts?
they, yeah, I think it was in the last, I don't know, 30 minutes maybe, or
Ah,
15, 20 minutes. Yeah.
I should be up to date on that. A few other questions here too. The Trump administration has ended a lot of foreign aid by closing USAID, folding that into the State Department. Um, President Kennedy created that agency, as you know, though, in 1961 by executive order. Why can't another executive order dismantle that and combine it with the State Department?
Over the years, in 1998, Congress established it as its own department or its own agency. And so that basically Congress took control of USAID and said, we're recognizing it as an independent agency and we're going to appropriate money to it. Now, don't get me wrong. Look, I think we should always take a close look at how federal departments and agencies are spending money. That's a good thing. And that the Republican and Democratic administrations over the years have tried to do that. But to basically lay off everybody and say that we're going to shut down this agency that really has been, for all the critiques, has been a life-saving agency for a lot of people around the world. I mean, for example, in Africa, this is an agency that helps people get their HIV/AIDS treatment. And for a period of time during that federal funding freeze, there were people showing up to get that treatment who couldn't get it because it'd been frozen. So that's just one example of literally some of the life-saving work that USAID does. And more than that, Jason, is President Trump has given no indication that he has another plan to help people around the world. That's how the United States became a leader among nations around the world and developed strong relationships, which has been incredibly beneficial to us. If you just do away with all of that, you empower countries like China and Russia, and you also erode a lot of the trust and a lot of the goodwill of the people around the world.
A lot of this opposition now going to court, as you mentioned there. We've seen a lot of courts, though, now have a conservative lean to them. What do you expect to happen with these lawsuits?
I think that we will be successful in blocking a lot of these executive orders because most of them, I think, are illegal. Some of them are unconstitutional. And so I hope that in the coming weeks and the coming months, there will be a permanent block on some of these orders.
I'm curious what it's like there on Capitol Hill right now. You see your colleagues in the hall all the time and different places there at Capitol Hill. What's it like with your Republican colleagues? Do you guys have private conversations about what all's happened in the last 3 weeks?
Sure. On a personal level, I get along pretty well with a lot of Republicans, including a lot of Texas Republicans. We disagree politically a lot of times, but just personally, we're friendly. And I just fear that there really is almost no one left in the Republican Party in the House or the Senate that is willing to stand up to Donald Trump. And I don't mean call him names or berate him or anything like that. I just mean take a different position than him. And we saw it with the confirmations that just happened in the United States Senate. Those nominations, some of them were some of the most unqualified people to serve in the roles for which they were nominated. And they all so far have ended up getting confirmed. And it looks like they're all going to get confirmed, which is remarkable. And to me, actually, is a scary sign.
Have any of your Republican colleagues privately expressed any concern about what all's happening? It's coming at a fire hose pace here.
That they have. I think that, and look, they should speak for themselves, right? But I think that people at this point, Republicans especially, are scared of being made a target in a Republican primary. You have Elon Musk and at least one other billionaire who threatened to spend millions of dollars against any Republican in the next election who didn't vote for every single one of Donald Trump's nominees to serve in the cabinet, for example. So there's a kind of self-preservation that people take on, like a political job self-preservation. But more than that, I think it's also gotten to the point where They're afraid of this angry group of people out there who are mostly on the internet, but can be very vicious. There is a fear there among some of my colleagues.
Before I let you go and ask you about something not getting a lot of attention yet, and that is the fact that Congress has to extend the spending limit to keep the federal government open. I don't think that the top line number has been agreed to yet. Do you expect that everything going on in the first 3 weeks of the Trump administration is going to impact whether Congress can actually approve more spending to keep the government open?
Yeah, I mean, this has created a real chaos, a real recklessness uh, about the government right now. And March 14th is the deadline for us to come to some kind of agreement on the budget going forward. And I hope that we can get there, but it's going to be very tough when the president is ordering illegal things to be done and cutting off funding supplies, in midstream to different departments and agencies.
Congressman, always appreciate the time. Thank you.
Good to be with you.